Hey everyone, I was asked if I wanted to check out a game called Tevi, and I said yes. Why am I interested? Tevi is a game by the same developer who made Rabi-Ribi. I really like Rabi-Ribi, and Tevi has many similarities. It's kind of like the spiritual successor of Rabi-Ribi, so yeah, if you like that game, you may be interested in this, hence why I'm showing you this here. Your similarities include the 16-bit-like art style, Metroidvania gameplay, bullet hell boss fights, sense of humor, asymmetrical leg wear, and bunnies. I was quite interested to see what the similarities and differences were going to be. Tevi is supposed to come out sometime Q3 2023, but this is a Steam demo version that is supposed to show off the core gameplay. The gameplay demo doesn't bother with introducing the story. The game is conscious that it is a gameplay demo with one character being hired to say tutorial dialogue, though she doesn't know exactly why she has to say those things. Also, she looks a bit like Matsuri from Hololive. That being said, you do get a good idea of the tone of the story, which comes across as darker and more serious than Rabi-Ribi, but it still has that same type of humor, so there are lighthearted moments and interactions. The game is also balanced in a way that you get many of the important items right away in order to get a good impression of what the game is like to play, and I think the demo does a good job of it. There's a wide variety of different areas to explore, it all ramps up in terms of difficulty as you play, and you get a taste of the story too, like I said. The music is different, there's more of a fantasy-like feel this time, but there's still a large amount of variety with various soft and gentle pieces, ominous and mysterious bits, and even more exciting stuff like, stuff that sounds like synth pop and metal. There's several boss fights, and believe it or not, the demo has even replayability. Even though there isn't, like a story summary, you do get like bits and pieces as you play, and the various character interactions are also enough to give you an impression of what the characters are like. The main character is named Tevi, and she has a confident vibe and a go-with-the-flow attitude. She's accompanied by the two characters, Celia and Sable. They provide ranged attacks during gameplay. They have quite contrasting personalities, with Sable being the meeker of the two despite being a demon, and the other is like a angel-like thing. Let's take a look at the gameplay. This is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania with bullet hell elements, mainly during the boss fights, very responsive controls, fast-paced action, and a nice range of melee and ranged attacks. Just so you know, I like playing these types of games on keyboards, so that's what's happening here. Saying responsive controls is a bit of a non-statement, it's a bit of a buzzword or term that's being thrown around a lot, kind of lost its meaning there. But in this case here, I mean that the direction changes, jumping and things like that are pretty much instant. Jumping is predictable and you have a good amount of control while in the air. Melee attacks are, as you might have expected, more powerful than ranged attacks. There's a few combos or moves that you unlock as you play, like a backflip attack and whatever the Metroidvania equivalent is of an uppercut. You can switch between two characters that provide ranged attacks. They're a bit different in how they deal damage and how their charged shots work. One kind of just lingers there and does damage, while the other one is a shot that deals more damage and seems to have a bigger hit point as well, or hitbox, I mean. The environments are nice and varied. You get everything from cheerful and green to dark and gloomy. I really like this aspect of the game. The atmosphere on the different stages, let's call them, is actually excellent. It's really immersive, and the music very much helps. Something else that works well is the enemies and how they are matched to the environments. It's not really often that's spoken about, but I think it just fits very well. There are lots of different kinds of enemies. Their attack patterns are all different and require different techniques to defeat them. The platforming is fun, and you make use of various abilities like bombs, for example, to progress, or sliding so that you can fit into these one-block openings. Once you learn more abilities, you can replay areas to get to previously unreachable items and areas. Boss fights are fun and noticeably more difficult than normal enemies. I have the game set to normal. I thought the first boss was a bit too easy, but that's only so that you get up to speed with how the game works. Once you reach the game's first proper boss, you'll see how the boss fights are. They're much more of a challenge, and the nice thing is that if you complete the demo, you're encouraged to collect everything you couldn't get the first time. Plus, the boss fights are upped in difficulty, so yeah, I think that's kind of nice. The game feels really close to Rabi-Ribi, which I like, since I think it feels very nice to play. All the basics you'll get a hang of right away if you've played the other game. There are some differences, though, I've noticed between Rabi-Ribi and Tevi, and I'm just going to list them here in no particular order. The stages are more immersive looking. The backgrounds and stages have more detail going on here than they do in Rabi-Ribi. The shading is more intricate, and so is the usage of color. Now, this may not be 100% the case because it's been a while since I played Rabi-Ribi. Not to mention this is a demo of Tevi that has different gameplay balance. But I feel that Rabi-Ribi, I could rely a bit more on ranged attacks on that game. But with Tevi, the damage you inflict isn't that high enough with ranged attacks, so I feel that encourages a bit more melee usage. But then again, towards the end there, you started getting more ranged abilities where you shot out more bullets, I guess, so who knows. There's a more serious tone to everything, which I already mentioned before. In Rabi-Ribi, the story was more lighthearted. Not only with the story, but also with the stage design and enemies. While with Tevi, there's similar humor and, character interactions and stuff. The enemies are more seriously designed, and they can actually border on the grotesque with that infected person boss, for example. But actually, now I say that, and there are some lighthearted designs. But I guess the point is you do notice the more serious tone with some of the enemy designs too. I guess the range is bigger. Also, I found it funny that there are bunnies that run around. They don't attack you, but they do hurt you if you come into contact with them. It's kind of amusing. But yeah, that's basically the gist of my experience. I haven't replayed everything or gathered all the missing items. But I may, do a little bit of that before the game is released. Better reviewers may have the achievements to prove that they did that. I'm looking forward to the release since I got quite into the story just as the demo stopped. That was probably intentional in design, and now we have this whole cliffhanger moment. Or at least, maybe not a cliffhanger, but, a situation where it's just like, I just want to see how it continues. But anyway, that's that. I hope you like the impressions. It plays very well. Let me know what you think, especially if you have played Rabi-Ribi and liked that game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.